I'm Lindsay, and welcome to the Intuitive Psychologist podcast. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I've been in the mental health field for over 15 years. During my spiritual awakening, I've realized that psychology is really missing the mark. I believe that traditional therapy combined with spirituality can actually lead to long-term healing and growth. And I've actually had the luxury of seeing this happen within my own private practice, where I've tried to incorporate the two together. My intention for this podcast is to discuss my opinions about spirituality and therapy, and I like to do it in a fun way. My hope is that I'll inspire other people to explore different ways to improve their lives. But I'd also like to normalize what many people have been going through or are currently going through, so that you can know that you're not alone and that you're not crazy. And maybe along the way I can inspire a few therapists along the way to actually think outside the box and to offer their own version of intuitive healing. If this is interesting to you, then join me on this journey as we try to have fun and explore an informal way to bridge the gap between psychology and spirituality. Welcome back, my friends. All right, so before we get started on this episode, I just want to give everyone a forewarning that this episode is going to be particular woo-tastical. So if you don't want to hear about paranormal experiences, drugs, losing grip with reality, any of that sort of stuff, then I would just go ahead and skip this episode. And maybe even skip this whole series. I'm just saying. It's going to get there. So if you're interested in this topic, then by all means, join along. And if this seems like it is way too crazy, then I would just go ahead and hit the stop button, unsubscribe, hit the dislike. Don't give me bad reviews, though, please. Okay. Anyway, let's do this. So, let me just first off by saying, it's been bothering me that I feel so embarrassed or scared, or I wouldn't say ashamed. I just don't want other people to know. Like, I'm cool with it myself. I just don't necessarily want everyone in my life to know this side of me. And some people that have known me for my entire life, or a big chunk of my life, may say that I've fallen off the mental wagon, but the reality is I'm just now stepping in and being vocal about who I am and who I've been for the majority of my life. But I'm bummed that I am having that reaction and that I'm perpetuating any sort of fear or stereotype about being who you are and having a spiritual side and having beliefs that maybe don't fit the stereotype or the norms. And so I'm bummed about that. But anyway, I am going to try with each episode to be more and more real and authentic and less afraid to just be who I am, and hope that this reaches a few people that feel the same way, that can feel like, okay, I'm not crazy and I'm not alone. And if a mental health professional is experiencing these same things and she doesn't seem super crazy, then maybe I'm not crazy too. And if we are all crazy, well, I'm having the best time of my life, so fuck it, I guess I'm crazy. Anyway, so a little over a week ago, I had a session with one of my friends. We are sharing services, spiritual services with each other, this group of like-minded, awesome ladies. We are sharing services together that are spiritual and trying to give each other feedback and support. And so I got to talk with my friend Grace, who is a psychic and a medium, and she is incredible at what she does. But she asked, like most people do you have any specific questions? And I was like, yes, my podcast. When is it going to get on iTunes? Because that's all I care about, right? Just when is it going to get on iTunes? It's on a whole bunch of other platforms right now, but iTunes is taking for fucking ever. And so she talked to my spirit team, and she was so kind and sweet and loving to me. I don't think that my spirit team was as kind and sweet. I think they're a little sassy. I think they're a little like saucy, a little fiery. I appreciate that. And she said that I'm not ready, that my content is not ready yet, that by the time I hit episode 10, that will be where I've sort of hit my stride and the content is actually at the level it should be for the type of audience I'm going to be going for, the type of audience that will be attracted to me. And she was trying to be with all loving kindness and like, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's just not there yet. And I was like, okay, I got it. Episode 10. And she gave me some advice, I guess, that my spirit team had suggested, and it was maybe have a beer and loosen up before you do an episode. And she's like, maybe it's more of a metaphor than it is like actually have a beer. And I was like, no, that sounds about right. I probably do need to relax a little bit. So pause while I take another sip of my glass of wine. Because I decided to not do a beer, which is kind of, I don't know, it would be a slow roll. I love a beer, and a beer would definitely help prevent a hangover tomorrow. Because yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost 40, and a glass of wine may cause me a hangover or problems with sleep tonight. So that's fucking fun. Said no one ever. So anyway, it was suggested that either I actually have a beer or that I think of podcasting as if I'm sitting down having a beer with people in a conversation. So yeah, I have a spirit team, and I talk to spirits, and my friends talk to spirits, and we talk to each other's spirits. So there's first one on the list of craziness that we're going to be talking about today. I have a spirit team, and they talk to me, and they talk to my friends, and they told me, chill the fuck out, have a beer, and it's going to take you a minute before you're ready to actually be on iTunes. But they said once you are ready, like you have, I guess, crossed this hurdle, then you will be on iTunes. iTunes will then have your stuff reviewed, and you will be accepted into the iTunes world, which is on a backlog because, shocker, everyone and their mom is starting a podcast right now. So anyway, I'm definitely like a stubborn kind of person where I kind of need to be told that I'm either a fuck up, that I'm doing it wrong, or that I can't do it, for me to go, oh bitch, please, let me show you that I can fucking do this. So I'm like, so maybe I needed to be told that I still had an additional 5 more episodes before I was ready to be on iTunes for me to say to the spirit team, all right, fuck it, man, I'm going to get crazy. Fine. Doesn't mean that episode 6, which is the one you're listening to right now, isn't going to be just another notch in my way towards episode 10. Maybe it is episode 10, hard stop, or maybe that was my spirit team saying, hey, we know Lindsay needs to be told she sucks to then kick it into high gear and take it to the next level. So we'll see. I don't know. You guys are on the journey with me. We'll find out. But I definitely have some daddy issues. That's why I need to be told that I suck to then, try to do the 10 times harder of a job or step out of my comfort zone more, because I'm like, I'm going to prove to you that you're wrong. Anyway. All right. So I figured I would start with the conclusion, I guess, of my spiritual awakening with going back quite a bit of time and tell you a little bit about some paranormal shit that I've experienced, which was kind of cool and fucking frightening at the same time. And don't worry, folks, I'm just drinking more wine. It's probably going to get saucy here in a little bit. I'm a lightweight. Anyway, so all of my childhood, all of my early adulthood, I was like, I want to see a ghost. I kind of believe in spirits and ghosts and all this like paranormal activity, but I've never seen it. And I guess the scientist in me kind of was always like, well, prove it to me, right? I want to believe, but I need to be proven. So I would try to do, like going to places that could have been haunted, like hanging out in graveyards when it's like late at night. As a kid, my girlfriends and I in high school tried to become witches and couldn't get anything done. So then I was like, fuck this witchcraft. I'm not a witch. I can't do this. Let's see what else. What else did we do? That's all I can think of right now as a kid. But when I was with some friends in my mid to late 20s, we kind of cracked open some paranormal shit. Like Tennessee has some pretty cool haunted areas. And my guess is that we had probably tried to visit numerous haunted areas with no success. And luckily, the group of people that I was friends with at the time were kind of into this stuff too, so it kind of made it fun. But we would like Google haunted areas and haunted places to go to in the area. And there was this like tunnel and an overpass. And the myth or the legend was you'd pull your car inside of this tunnel, it was 2 tunnels. One was a drivable tunnel. And you'd park your car and crazy, scary shit would happen. And we'd park our car and wait. And we'd all be like, ooh, what's going to happen? Nothing, right? Nothing ever happened. But then if you drove a little further into the woods, there was this internal tunnel where it had like a little creek. And you would walk down just a slight little incline, or decline, I guess it would be. And you would walk into the tunnel and you'd stand in there, and apparently some woman had murdered her daughter or something to that effect. Dead kids usually create a lot of cool paranormal shit. It's kind of morbid, but like, let's be real, that's usually the best stories. And so we would go down there, and I want to say, and for any of my friends that may listen to this later, you guys can correct me if I am memorying this wrong. Wow, wine hasn't even hit me yet, and I can't even say words, but I may be remembering this wrong. But we would go into the tunnel, and I want to say that nothing really happened for a while, and maybe like little things that, you could be like, well, my brain was tricking me, or it was the sound of the water, it wasn't a big deal. However, my best friend and my boyfriend at the time, we decided to go on another late night trip to try this tunnel. And we went down and we held hands, and we went into the tunnel, and I think I was in the middle. Yeah, I was in the middle. My best friend to the left of me, my boyfriend to the right of me. And we walked into this tunnel, turned our flashlight off, held hands, and just waited. And I don't remember exactly how this played out. But usually the way it worked for me is I would get a weird sensation like, fuck, some shit's about to go down, we need to stop. And so I think I was trying to make some sort of subtle way to be like, guys, let's make our way out of here. And as I did that, my friend in the back got like fell down, or some sort of like loud bang. And then we just all were like, and we ran. And we ran into my boyfriend's truck, and we were like safe in the truck, and we're like, get the fuck out of here. And we drove for a while until we got into an area that seemed a little bit more like less woodsy, and a little bit more like there might be traffic that could come by. So we're like, okay, we're safe. So we stopped the truck, and we were like, what the fuck happened? And my friend said it felt to him as if somebody was grabbing him around the neck and trying to pull him down, and that he was pulled down and then couldn't get back up. The energy or spirit or whatever was pulling him down where he could not get back up. And we looked at his neck, and I swear to God, there were marks on his fucking neck. It was wild. And he had like a scrape on his knee, which, I mean, science in me says, okay, scrape on the knee probably was from falling down or trying to like pull yourself back up. But I remember, that's right, I was trying to help him up, and I could not for the life of me get him up. Now, granted, I'm smaller than him, but like, not like we're, 100 pounds difference between each other. It was like, it felt like it was really hard to pull him back. And so that was really scary, and we were like, holy shit, that just happened. I, that night, go to my boyfriend and go, wait, I fucking had this dream that this exact thing happened. And thank fucking God, it was like a month or two before this actually occurred. I always have been having vivid dreams for almost my entire life where it's more real than reality. And I can describe to you my dreams as if I was living inside of a movie more than I could describe to you my day. And I had described this dream to my boyfriend a month or two before this event even happened. And thank God, because I go to him, oh my God, I had this dream a few months ago. Do you remember? And he's like, holy shit, I do remember. And I was like, oh my God, thank God I'm not crazy. Like, I mean, how do you prove to somebody after the fact, like, by the way, you remember, like, I know that this had already happened before. So it was fucking trippy, and I don't know if we ever went back to that particular location at the time. But prior to that, we had been playing with the Ouija board for quite some time. I was married at the time, and same best friend and my now ex-husband, the three of us particularly, started off doing the Ouija board because we shared like a duplex, or like, it was like one of those little complexes where it's kind of like apartments, but it's in a row and it's got like 2 stories, but whatever. So we were living right next to each other. So we would hang out and drink and party and listen to music and do all these things. My guess is drinking while podcasting doesn't make for good podcasting, but sorry, going with it, at least for this episode. Anyway, we I think went to Walmart and bought a Ouija board, which floors me to the fact that a company like Walmart or any other name brand company will sell Ouija boards as if it's like a game of Monopoly. Motherfuckers, pausing right now to let y'all know, do not fuck with a Ouija board. If you do, you better have somebody with you that knows how to lock that shit down, call in the right spirits, and then clear that shit up, because fucked up shit will happen. Just saying, okay? Especially if you have any sort of person that sort of tapped into the spirit world anyway, which is what my best friend and I were. I truly believe that he and I were the conduits of the spirit realm, and other people could get on the board and things would happen, but it would only happen if one of us was also on the board with whoever else was hanging out. So anyway, a lot of the Ouija board stuff was like, it would be him and I on the board and my ex-husband like taking notes, right? And it would just be letters, 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 letters. And then we'd try to make words out of it and be like, and it was very rhymey, like tick tock, the mouse ran up the clock and then you're dead. And we're like, whoa. But anyway, a lot of it wasn't that morbid too. It was just kind of stupid. A lot of it was just stupid. And we're like, I don't know. So the three of us would play. My best friend's roommate was not a big fan of the Ouija board. She was like, do not bring it into the house, which we totally brought it into the house and did it like a lot, which was quite disrespectful to her space. And I actually can understand now why that would be a big no-no. Like if somebody says, don't bring this into your space, don't do it, because she was onto something, man. We brought shit into her space. Anyway, so most of our Ouija board experiences were like a nothing burger, right? Like maybe something kind of fun would come in and it would be like, we would ask questions of one of our dead relatives and, try to do it where whoever the dead relative was, it wouldn't be the lineage would not be on the board. It would be like taking the notes, right? So there'd be like some sort of like, we can't make this up. because, you know, again, scientist in me, I'm like, we got to prove that this is real or not. And we would try to trick the piece on the board. I know that there's an actual technical term for the little eyepiece that your fingers are on when it moves. And I would sometimes, if we were in a good rhythm and flow, like lift up my fingers so it's still flowing, but his hand was the only one on it. And there's no way, like it should have tipped over if he was putting pressure on it. Then I would maybe later on, I would tell him like, hey, this is what I did. Try it with me at some point. And I would lock eyes with him, and then we would both lift up our fingers, and it would still be moving. And we're like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. So that all happened until one day, and this was in MySpace. Thank God. It doesn't matter. It got fucked in both spaces. The first time that something really fucking wild happened was the three of us, my ex-husband, my best friend, and I were just fucking around. And all of a sudden, my best friend was acting really weird, not like himself at all. And to be honest, I was like, I think he's being possessed right now. And he was just saying some weird off-the-wall shit. And then he lost consciousness or something. I don't know. But my ex-husband was in a pseudo medical field. So he knew a little bit about a sternum rub. And so to get him to come to, he did the sternum rub on him, which should, and this is a big guy doing it to just a regular size guy. And the sternum rub should snap you out real fast if you're fucking around, if you're lying, if you're anything but passed the fuck out. And he was not drunk passed the fuck out. He was said some weird shit and then lost consciousness, and we're like, what the fuck? So he sternum rubbed him for I want to say 30 seconds to a minute. Just try that for a hot second with your friend one night. Get drunk and just sternum rub each other hard, and see how quickly you're out of it. Anyway, my best friend didn't come out of it for at least 30 seconds. And then he came out of it and he started throwing up. And we were like, yo, what the fuck happened? He's like, I have no clue what the fuck happened. And we're like, we need to stop doing this. This is really bad. So we stopped doing it for that night. We had friends over often because, we were in at least a circle that was open to this kind of stuff. And a lot of our friends were like, ooh, we want to Ouija with you guys. And again, like I said, if one of us was on it, then usually we could get some good messages that were relevant and weren't just gibberish. And but really, it was when he and I were on it that it was really intense. So cut to, let's say, a few weeks, maybe a month later, after the sternum rub incident, I think it's just him and I, just drinking and Ouijaing and just having a good time. I don't think that there was another person in the room. And so same sort of thing. We were playing, I go to the bathroom, and where we were set up, his back was to the bathroom door. So when I come out from the bathroom, he's still sitting there, non-animated, with his back to the wall, just staring off. And that's not like him. He's a very fun, otherwise, if it wasn't what just happened, then he would have been up making another drink or on his phone or doing something, but he was just sitting there. Creepy as fuck. And I'm a feeler. Where I can sense when I walk into a room, I'm like, ooh, something's not right. And I had that sense with him. I walked in, I saw his body not have moved, and I called his name a couple times, and then exorcist style, his head just turned to me in that creepy slow motion where the face moves, but the eyes don't. And you're like, what the fuck? And then he said some sort of cryptic message. I cannot for the life of me remember what the cryptic message was, but it was something like relevant, you know, it wasn't like gibberish, but it was some cryptic relevant message. And I was like, oh, hell no, this is not happening. And within, I want to say, maybe another 30 seconds or so, I don't remember how we got him out of it, but I was able to get him out of it, and he stopped. Like, whatever fucking possessed him was done. So yeah, I have a friend who got possessed twice. Creepy as fuck. Possessions are real. The Ouija board is real. So I was later told by my ex-husband that we opened a portal in our home. And I'm really sorry to the friend that requested that we don't bring the Ouija board into her space, that if we opened a crazy spiritual portal in her area too and created any sort of craziness, like I haven't heard anything that happened, but like God forbid that it did. I'm very sorry because that is intrusive and I should not have done that. So cut to a couple months later, we obviously haven't learned our lesson that like Ouija board, maybe don't fuck with that shit. And the group of us, we continued to play the Ouija board. I think at this point I said no more Ouija in my house. I think I finally drew the line to be like, I'm not having this in my space anymore, but if y'all want to have it in your space, love ya, let's do it. I will lay my hands on the board and let's go have fun. But when we would use the Ouija, if I started to like, you know, sense all of a sudden like things were fine, jovial, whatever, and then all of a sudden that dark heaviness came about. Again, my whole thing was I feel it. I try to be like, hey guys, let's go party. Maybe we should wrap things up. And every time, man, it would be weird. It would be like the table would bang. The board would lift up and slam down. Weird things would happen while we were playing the Ouija board. But I always thought once you put the Ouija board away, you're done. But no, because like we didn't learn our lesson with the possession, why would it stop there? So one night we were at my friend's house and same sort of thing happened, right? Like I felt the weird energy. I was like, okay, maybe we need to maybe we should go have drinks and meet up with friends out somewhere else. Bang, crash, right? All right. And then we would wrap things up, put it outside to call it a night. And this one particular night, myself and another one of my friends were standing there and we had our drinks in our hand. Our hands were full. And for me, I think was it God, was it me? This is so sad. This was well over 10 years ago. I'm talking 12 and my memory's been shit. I think it was me that I had my drink and phone, my palm was out flat and I had a red Solo cup and my cell phone in the same hand and my cell phone went flying across the room and I was like, what the fuck? So that was either my experience or my girlfriend's experience because the other two or three friends were off in the room getting finished getting ready. And we were like, what the fuck is happening? And then I think we all ran into my friend's bedroom because it was an apartment with multiple rooms. And we're like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? Oh my God, this is so scary. What the fuck? Should we just jump out the window and risk it? How the fuck do we get out of here? And we were like, no, we just need to be brave. Be brave. Jesus Christ. We're like, we need to be brave and just go through the space and get the hell out of here and go to the local bar that we hung out at. And so we shot out of her bedroom, went in through the living room where we had just done the Ouija experience where one of our cell phones had flown across the room with nothing. Either myself or the other person, we were not doing anything. We were just standing there talking, hand open, and poof, it's gone. Anyway, so we're running out of the room into the living room. We make a sharp right, and it's going through the kitchen with all these cabinets and stuff out the front door. And as each one of us are running out to the front door, when we get into the kitchen, the cabinet doors start opening and shutting, slamming, and we're like, ah! And then we like run out down through the apartment complex to the bottom, and like this truck comes by, and like its engine or whatever, like it sounds like it screams at us, and we're like, we can't get past this. This is scary. We had always been under the impression that once you're away from the Ouija board, you're done. You're good, right? That energy is gone. So we get into the car and we're driving to the bar that we're going to head to. And the windshield wipers are randomly going off. Like, I mean, this is like the normal like stuff that you would watch on like a cheesy paranormal show, or you would see in an episode and you'd be like, this shit never happens. This shit fucking happened, dude. So then my friend thought that like I was like, she's like, what are you doing to the back of the seat? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting behind you, nothing. She felt like a knee pushing against her back, like through the seat of the car. And that was not me. Then like, so windshield wipers were going off. The back of the seat felt like a knee was going in. I don't know if there were other things sort of randomly electronically going off that was weird in the car. But we pull up to the bar and we're like, what the fuck just happened? And like the 4 or 5 of us are trying to like come to grips with this paranormal fucked up shit that we all experienced together, same experience. And our friends who have no idea what the hell happened are trying to be like, hey guys, how was your night? How are you? And we're like, we can't tell people this because they're going to think we're fucking crazy. So at one point, I guess drinks are going to be grabbed or whatever, and the 4 of us are sitting in the booth, and maybe one of the, I think it was maybe 5 of us, and 4 of us were left in the booth, and we were like gonna start sharing like horror stories, like, did this shit really just like doors slamming, right? Like you guys were there for, yeah, okay, and then the winch, yeah, okay, yeah, and as we're doing it, my friend goes, ow, Lindsay, why did you kick me? And I'm like, I didn't kick you. I swear to God. And it was so hard. She was like, it felt like you would have had to like wind up to like kick me this hard. And I was like, you could see clearly that I did not wind up. I did not like, I mean, you would have noticed if my body had made that much effort to kick you that hard. And then all of a sudden, I swear to God, the table, which was movable, came out from the edge of the wall and slammed back in. And we were like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Like, we were done. And what's so funny is we have a picture of that night where we're like, have our arms around our friends, like, hey. And I'm like, I know that was the fucking night that this shit went down. I remember that because I remember taking that picture going, I'm acting as if everything is cool with these friends. I have no fucking idea, but this was a terrifying night. So then we get back in the car, and the same sort of shenanigans in the car is happening. The knees feeling like it's being pressed against it, whatever. And we're like, I just say, let's go back to my place because my place does not have the Ouija board. And I don't know if y'all remember from episodes before, I was not raised in any sort of household that would support anything like this. So I had no knowledge. I guess I was just tapping into my intuition, my feeling. Maybe my spirit team was giving me some guidance as to like, this is what you do to like stop the fucking shit. But when we got out of the car and we were about to walk into my house, I literally said out loud, you all are not welcome into my space. Once we cross past this door, you are not welcome anymore. You are not welcome into my space, or something to that effect. And when we walked in through the door, nothing else happened for the rest of the night. And in fact, I don't think anything ever happened in my home ever. And I was able to just shut that shit down. And I think it's because of my intention. And now that I know a little bit more about Ouija and spirits and all that stuff, I realize like, you're the director on this earth. Like, there are not spirits that can fuck with you. You set the tone. You tell them what you're going to allow and what you're not going to allow. If you need business hours because you're a psychic or a medium and spirits are coming through trying to talk to you, you set fucking office hours. Anyway, I told them motherfuckers, you're not coming in. You're done. And they were. And that was it. And I think after that night, I swear to God, I think after that night, I put it away and said, I'm never touching this again. And I would refuse after, later on when my friends would be like, come on, let's just do it. And I'd be like, I'm not, you have fun. I will not do that again. That was a terrifying night. So yeah, that happened. Nothing like that's happened because, like I said, I have refused to pull out another Ouija board. There have been moments, I'd say, in the last year or so where I have thought about maybe pulling a Ouija board or buying one because I don't have one, but buying one and working with it just because I feel like I have a bit more confidence in working with a Ouija board now, because I feel like I do know how to set actual intentions. A lot of Ouija board experiences is just like a trickster energy. It's just trying to play with you. It's not actually demonic or anything like that. It's just coming through to just scare you and to play tricks on you, and that's about it. But again, I don't know that I want to encourage that into my space. My space is really sacred now, but yeah, I do understand that there's some ways to shut it down afterwards, to cleanse the space afterwards, but I don't know. So on to my next topic. Before I do, it is now time for a break for wine. All right. So next topic. I have done psychedelics. Yeah, I have. I've done them twice. I want to do them again. And it's been a magical experience. So magical that I may one day pursue, again, because I got denied, pursue becoming a psychologist that assists in psychedelic mental health treatment, because I think it could be very valuable. So I'm very excited that in the last 5 or 10 years that there's been a lot of research and movement with the FDA and with mental health research to support that MDMA is very effective, that psilocybin has been very effective, that there are a lot of psychedelic experiences that have been very effective with long-term depression, anxiety, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, the death process, all that stuff. So I'm so excited because it's so fucked up that this natural remedy has been demonized for 50, 60 years or so, right? Because there were LSD research leading up to the Nixon era before the war on drugs. Maybe a different podcast that we can talk about, but I'll just give you a brief knowledge about my psychedelic experience. So I was seeing a psychic, medium, spiritual person at some point in my life, to be undisclosed at this point, but they were helping me heal spiritually, and I guess they had done a meditation, and during that meditation they were told that I would be open to psychedelics, because obviously with it being illegal, can't exactly approach all of your clients to say, hey, you want to do some drugs and expand your mind, because some people could be undercover, they could be against it, whatever. What's funny is divine fucking timing, man. The spirit works in amazing ways, but it was weeks maybe before I was asked by my spiritual coach or spiritual guidance guy if I was interested in this. I was in a like drugs. It was my course in grad school about drugs. And we had a project, and we were divided up into different teams, and each team had a different drug classification. And it just so happens that my team was doing psychedelics. And up until this point, I was terrified. I had heard all the stories of LSD. You do LSD even once, and you're going to have your mind gone. You're going to be one of those homeless people on the streets. And sadly, I actually had, let's be real. Maybe it wasn't even real. It was just one of those like myths or rumors of like a friend of a friend of a friend knew somebody that took LSD, and now they're like, their brain is fried. So I'd always been terrified. Not a big drug person. Weed was all I had done, weed and alcohol. Like, I'm kind of a bit boring. Up until psychedelics. So anyway, so I had done this project with my peers, and what I found was that psychedelics are actually natural in the body. Like, there's this DMT part of your brain which produces the chemicals that psychedelics produce, that produce the experience that you're on, and that you can never overdose on it, and that it will naturally release from your body. So there's like, not completely harmless, because no drug is, but it's the closest thing to a harmless drug to do. Had I not just read that in books from my doctorate program, I probably would have been like, fuck no, I'll never do that shit. But I had. And so when this guy said, hey, would you be interested in doing a psychedelic journey? And I was like, yeah, I might actually. Weird. So I end up agreeing to it. We go, and there's like maybe a dozen of us in this really beautiful little beachy house, and myself and one other person, because it's like the mushrooms are grown, at least what he tells us, is that they were grown in this beautiful atmosphere with like beautiful music being played by like, well-intentioned people, and that, he does this whole preparation before the actual journey, and during his meditation, he finds out the dose for each of the participants, and myself and like one other person, he was guided to give us the highest dose, which I guess is like the hero's dose or something like that. And I was just like, okay, whatever. If that's what your meditation tells you, you're the smart one. Let's do this. And so the first time I did it, I eat it. It tastes like bark. It's nothing exciting. And for about 45 minutes to an hour, you just sort of have this like, oh fuck, there's no turning back. Is this going to be cool? Is this going to be scary? Like, I have no fucking clue what I'm about to go into, because I've never done anything harder than weed. And so the cool thing was, it started off where I actually just saw trees breathing, which if you've never done psychedelics, there's no way I'm going to describe it that it's going to really make a whole lot of sense to be like, and then I could see the trees breathing and the grass was breathing. No, I sound like a fucking hippie. I get it. I do. I sound like a fucking hippie, but I fucking saw trees breathe, and it was magical. And then I looked up into the sky, and there's this beautiful, like, iridescent sort of grid work in the sky, and it just looks like little baby rainbows of like light just going across the sky in a grid work. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really sad, but a lot of what psychedelics is indescribable. It is an experience that you will never be able to truly comprehend nor explain to a person that's never done it. So for all my psychedelics out there that are listening, you'll know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. But so 2 leaders, it's a husband and wife team. And at one point, the wife, like me and a few other females, are like laying outside, and we're just taking it in, and it's just like this sort of bliss state, and it's beautiful. And she starts handing us all mirrors. And profound. The mirror goes between the ugly face that I see in this world to the beautiful face of my spiritual being. And it just goes back and forth. And I'm just crying. And I'm like, I'm so beautiful. And then it'd be ugly. And I'd be like, oh, I'm so beautiful. Wow. Oh my God. And then back to ugly. And the message to me was like, this is truly who you are, but your beliefs are shaping this ugly version. And I had to sit with that for a while. And then there was a moment where I think I was laying down face into the carpet, and I was just a horse. It was a horse, and it was like in probably the like New Mexico area. Like nothing was happening. I just was a fucking horse, and it was amazing. And then I think I was in the woods at some point, and it was just like I was the woods. And then they had this really cool the universe in books. And so sometimes when you look at books and you're tripping, like it comes into 3D and it like can float around and move, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But the other really profound moment in that experience was I actually became one of my clients. And at the time I was working at a group home for developmentally disabled adults. And I just was one of my clients who is severely autistic. He's mute. He's paralyzed. He just seems to be sitting there and occasionally will make noises and appear happy and occasionally throw tantrums and that kind of thing. But I was him. And I realized that in that moment, by being him, that it just was. It was this beautiful lack of fear of the future, lack of like despair and depression over the past. He just is always present at all times, and it was beautiful, and there was nothing wrong with him, and he was not upset about his experience. He just was. And not gonna lie, next time I saw him, I was like in my head going like, dude, I get it now. Like total like 60s hippie stoner dude, like, dude, I feel you. And most likely he was looking right back at me like, what the fuck are you even talking about, woman? But like in my head, I was trying to be like, I get you now. I get you, and thank you for that experience to show me that you're not suffering in there. We assume suffering if you can't speak and you don't fully seem to be getting what's going on. But he was just present, and he was observing, and he was experiencing life to that extent. So that was that time. And then the next time I did it, because I was like, oh, well, now I know what I'm doing. Let's go have some fun. So the next time that I do it, there are some people that were having some really intense experiences, like throwing things. It was so weird. I got some strange intuitive hits. I saw two people walking away, and in my head and in my heart, it felt like they were going to go have sex, which felt really wrong to me. But one of the cool experiences was my dad, which I may or may not have already said, but he had taken his life when I was about 19 years old. And we had a really rough relationship. Really, 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 really rough. And I still had a lot of anger and resentment and pain. And the people leading the psychedelic trip journey had me and a male participant sit in a room together privately with this huge mirror. And in the mirror, it would be this man, the guy's, pardon me, I guess the wine is starting to kick in now. It would be the guy's face and then my dad's face. And just like in the first trip, it would be my version of ugly face and my beautiful, like, spiritual face sort of coming in and out. It would be this guy in real life, his face, and my father's face coming in and out of the mirror. Not in and out like it's blah, but the picture in the mirror was changing between this guy's face and my father's face. And no words were spoken out loud, but this is where telepathy comes in, and this is where I understood what telepathy was, I guess. There was a knowing. My father and I had an understanding and a knowing in that moment where I just knew he had done the best that he could, that he was sorry, and that we were cool. Like, we were actually cool. I was able to forgive him and let it go. And it felt so powerful and so releasing to have that experience with him. And that's lasted me even to this moment. So I'll even go as far as say is all of this is bullshit. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I felt like I had resolved the majority of my issues with him have been resolved because of that experience that was maybe, 10, 20 minutes sitting in front of a mirror. No words spoken out loud, but with all the knowledge and awareness in that moment. And it was beautiful. There's also a point where the leader brought me up into a room and discussed with me about my career. And that's when he said, you're going to do something really important with your career. Hell, you may even be in my position at one point in your career. And I was like, hell no, I won't. Because unless it's legal, there's no way I would ever do this and risk my license and my career and all of that. And then cut to, just about a year ago, me applying to become part of a program that was teaching mental health and clergy and other folks to become psychedelic assisted therapists. So I didn't get in, but COVID happened, so it's probably happened for a good reason. But maybe one day I will end up actually pursuing that legitimately, because I had experienced so much positivity and growth in that. But let me tell you, this segues into the next part of what I wanted to talk about today, which was feeling like you're losing your goddamn mind. And the beautiful thing about taking psychedelics is that it's expansive in your mind, right? You realize that you are everything. Everything is you. You are a God and you are nothing. Instantly, my fear of death was gone. I did not worry about that anymore. I was like, whatever, I can actually do. Majority of things that used to scare the shit out of me now don't scare the shit out of me anymore. It was huge, pivotal moment in my life to have both of those experiences. But the problem with it is that it can be an overload, where you experience so much expansiveness that you're not grounded and you begin to question reality, which is good. We should question reality sometimes. Reality is not what we make it, and it's not what we're sold as to what reality is, but it is really unsettling. And so the days after a mushroom trip, because that's all I've experienced at this point in my life, it's very unsettling. It's very expansive and unsettling, where you're like, what's fucking real? Like, the birds are talking to me now, and I'm talking to them because I am the bird and the bird is me and whatever. And makes you feel like you're kind of going crazy. It really does. And that was kind of what had happened with this most recent spiritual awakening, because I did go back to sleep after that. Shortly thereafter, I did go and start working in a prison, and you definitely cannot be expansive in the midst of that kind of trauma. You have to have your feet on the ground, and it's like, not only did the people not support a super spiritual place, but it just is too traumatic in both what you experience by being physically in there, by experiencing what you're hearing the inmates talk about, and then by also dealing with the management and how like it's really not a good place. So like I went to sleep. But in this most recent spiritual reawakening, I had those moments again too, where I had synchronicities, where I could see 111 everywhere, or numbers, or like phrases pop up, and you're like, I think the TV's talking to me, or the radio's talking to me, or the clock is talking to me, is trying to tell me something, and I don't know what it is. And then you're watching a show that might be a little bit like kind of in the spiritual realm. Like I remember I was watching Altered Carbon. The first season, it was when that was out on Netflix. The second season hadn't been out yet. And I was alone for the weekend. My now husband, who was my fiance at the time, I want to say that this was sometime last year, maybe 2 years ago, before we even got engaged. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Sidebar. Anyway, that I was alone for the weekend. He was traveled to be with one of his children, or actually really both. And I couldn't go. And I was alone, sad, and watching this show, which to me spoke to me about like, wow, this reality isn't reality. And I remember feeling like I was losing my fucking mind. I felt delusional. I felt like I was losing grip of what reality was. And I felt like I was actually going crazy. And my saving grace was that I am a mental health professional, so I had to check in with myself to be like, okay, does schizophrenia start like in your late 30s for women? And the answer is almost never, unless it's some sort of organic or substance-induced schizophrenic. And so I was like, okay, so most likely I'm not schizophrenic. And I was able to do all these major milestones with all these stressors, which normally are the things that trigger a schizophrenic break. So probably not. And then eventually I just had to realize, like, okay, shut the show off, hop in the pool, like just stop, because this is tripping you out too much. It's an overload, so relax a little bit, just relax. And it went away, and I was okay. But too many people don't have that anchoring point to remind them, like, you may just be going through a spiritual awakening. And most likely that's what's going on. And to be able to go to a professional that says, you're okay. There are things to do to help you right now, to feel like you can keep your sanity and still keep growing. And I'm very grateful that I had my education and my training and my knowledge to like go, okay, this is a fucking crazy long weekend / week. And then luckily, like, I had to go back into work. So like reality, like, whoosh, jumps right back into your face. But not everyone gets that. And I think that that's been part of my motivator to want to put something out like a podcast to say, yeah, I have my doctorate. I am qualified. I have a license. I have the education. I have the training. I have all these blah, 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 blah. And I too, at several points in my life, in my 30s, have felt like I've been losing my mind. And I'm not. And I'm not fucking losing my mind. In fact, I'm only gaining my mind. And now I'm finding the way to be of spirit in this world. And so I will end today, long episode, to tell you all that it's really important that if you start to feel like you're losing grip with reality, if you're starting to wonder if you're crazy, 99.999% of the chance you are not crazy. I will eventually talk about my theory on mental health and schizophrenia and all that stuff, but it's not today. But if you feel like you're going crazy, there are things to do to keep yourself grounded. If you feel like you're losing grip with reality and it's not serving you, ground. Get reconnected with the earth. And there are lots of ways to do it. I like to take my shoes and socks off and walk around in the grass barefoot. If you don't have your own grass and you can't get your ass to a park, concrete is okay too. That's fine. You can jump into a pool, get into water. You can take a bath, an intentional bath. Look up different types of taking like a spiritual bath to ground you in and not get you out, because there's all different ways to have a bath. You can take. So I never thought that this day would come, but I actually talked too much. So Anchor does 60 minutes is your max, and at least per recording. So I overdid it. So I just want to end really fast by just simply saying that I wanted to do this podcast to let everyone know that you're not crazy. Part of the spiritual awakening process can and often almost always is having at least one moment where you feel like you're losing your mind and you're going crazy, but you're not. 99.999% of the time, you're not losing your mind. I'll talk at some point about my theories about psychosis and schizophrenia and all that stuff, but it's not for today. But I just want to say that part of the spiritual awakening process is losing your grip with reality. There are lots of ways to assist when you're feeling like you are losing your mind, and it has everything to do with grounding techniques. And so if you follow my Instagram or TikTok, I have lots of quick and simple ways to ground. And so just really quickly, you can take a shower or a bath. I like to take my shoes and socks off and put my feet in the grass or on cement. If you don't have access to real grass or the earth, go for a hike in nature. What else? Eat grounding vegetables, that kind of thing. So follow my Instagram or TikTok and you can always YouTube or Google other folks' ideas on ways to ground, but that is the best solution for when you're feeling like you might be losing your mind because you're going through a spiritual awakening. Because remember, you are both of spirit and you are of this earth. You are neither just one or just the other. So it's in your best interest, and your best ability to function is to remember that you need to hold it down a little bit. If you're going too deep into spirit place and you are not functioning, then that's no good either. As opposed to just being totally of this earth and not remembering your spirituality either. So I will end this really long podcast, and hopefully it's resonated with some of you. And for those of you that are rolling your eyes and thinking like, this chick done be crazy, then hopefully you had already clicked off a long time ago. Anyway, just wanted to share that and tell you all that I'm wishing you the best. And remember that no matter what, you are the light. Wishing you well. Take care.